So my own experience with psychedelics really was before Dharma, way before, at the age of 18 or 19, in the 60s when LSD was legal. It wasn't illegal then, it was 67 or something like that. And I was already interested in, shall we say, questions of reality, questioning reality from a childhood. So I was a very inquiring person, very much knowing that reality deep down isn't quite what it's meant, what it's said to be, what it's assumed to be. I had big questions about reality and existence. And I landed in a culture that was just exploring. The psychedelic culture was beginning at that time in California and that time, and I met the Grateful Dead and so on. I found myself in an ecstatic discovery, creative culture based on psychedelics. So I said, I must try this, and I tried psychedelics at that time, and I found it amazing, and in a big shock in a way because of the intensity of the realizations inside the psychedelic experience. And what was intense about it for me was that if a very small amount of some small substance, which is you can hardly see, it's like tiny quantity, can change your view of a tree, and it's no longer a tree but a mass of colors, then that means there isn't such a thing as a tree. Correct. A tree cannot be what I see with the normal, usual eyes trained to see a tree, if small amount of something shows me the tree which is radically different. Therefore it's all depending on my brain cells, reality, therefore there is no reality. So that was very strong for me as a realization, and it also helped a little bit the Dharma to, when I got into meditation and so on, it allowed this question of the unknowability of reality to be as a memory in my consciousness of the psychedelic experience. It sort of gave a little help, in a sense, to the inquiry in terms of Dharma.
Yeah.
So I want to give that. Then since then, not much experience. I mean, a little bit here and there in Klils, now and then, not much. And because the Dharma took all that, I felt there was, I didn't need anymore. It happened to me, and I didn't need more. And just a few years ago, I took ayahuasca ceremony just from spontaneous interest. I think it was 5 years ago, something like that. It generated a strong feeling of compassion in my heart. And the whole night, I was just sitting on the roof of... the ceremony was happening down in a room with everyone screaming and shouting and laughing and crying and vomiting and all this. And I was just on the roof beaming compassion to them and to everybody else in the world. And
without drama.
Without drama, no, I didn't.
Maybe with Dharma, but without...
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it touched me. And it was interesting, but not special for me. No, it wasn't. I converted it to Dharma in a sense. It was just a kind of shift in the consciousness, but the consciousness is shifting anyway all the time. So this was just one more. And so it wasn't dramatically different. It was more colors perhaps, but I'm just working with it in the way I work with everything else. So that's my personal experience, and now I want to kind of give my view of your question.
Yeah, exactly. About the combination between, it's like
understand.
I think it's a triangle, like you have the... Okay.
I understand the question. And I think that psychedelics, in terms of a healthy person exploring reality, psychedelics, when done right, in other words, with the right set and the setting, with the right positive energy, and if you like, ritual energy, or shamanistic or transformative intention, can be a really eye-opener. It's like giving a boost, sudden boost to our question of reality, and it can be really eye-opener. But there's two things on top of that. One is, I don't think it is necessary. It's an opportunity when it turns up. Now, when it turns up means something fitting between you and the thing to give a boost to your spiritual life. But there's many, many things that give boost to a spiritual life, such as an intensive retreat, such as going to a certain teacher, such as going to Varanasi and getting lost there, such as, there's many things, such as intense, psychophysical practice of different kinds. Many things will give this boost, not just psychedelics. So I don't think psychedelics are necessary, but they're one of the options. Now, that means how do you choose which is the option for you? Whether to go on a yoga retreat, which is super intensive, or shut yourself in a Zen monastery, or psychedelics, it very much depends on something which is a little bit non-rational, which is the karma of the situation, that something talks to you about this, something feels right about this particular experience, going to a Zen monastery or taking a psychedelic. It's not a rational thing. If something feels right, that's the boost I need right now, and your total wisdom is telling you that, and it's totally clear, then that you go for it. So the boost is like putting amphetamine, like speed, and in it's more than coffee. It's speed. It gives the speed to the inner world. But it doesn't have to be. It can be an option that's just right for you or not, and something else may be better for you. And how you know that is very difficult to say. Everyone really has to kind of get an intuition about it. They're pulled to it. They feel something in there is pulling them. So when people say to me, what do you think about me going on a mushroom, ayahuasca, I always say, if it's done really well, with the right intention, and it really talks to you, then go for it. Because I believe in being playful with our inner world. And not being too orthodox, that if you're Dharma you have to be a Buddhist and not take anything. I don't believe that. I think that we should be playful. I think it's really fine to to explore different avenues and to explore different ways, because we need the help of teachings and substances and so on.
Yeah.
So the second issue, so that's how, whether or not, it's not necessary, but it can be a boost, a real boost to open something which is break some barriers and boundaries in a strong way. But
sometimes it's too strong.
Being aware that we tend to go back to where we were before with such an experience. Not always, but something is left. But it's, however, there's also the two other things. One is that sometimes it is too strong, as you say, and we have to be wise about how much to take and what to take and who to do it with and so on, and not to be, and if we are vulnerable or psychologically unstable, then we have to be very, very careful to take it in a context of spiritual. Second thing is to be aware that it can then be instead of other things. So if you become too used to it as opening your spiritual eye this way, you may be more difficult to open your spiritual eye naturally.
Really?
Yes, it can be.
Yeah, can you say more about it? Like,
yeah.
If you,
for example, people who are using a lot of hashish, which is a psychedelic in a way, in quantities like even the sadhus in India.
Grass, no?
Grass or hashish. Hashish is stronger. Like the sadhus in India or many people in the West. So they use hashish as a kind of a spiritual or eye-opening or help for creativity and so on and so on. But after a while, if you keep using it, you end up not being able to change your psychology. It gets you stuck. And
I didn't know.
Yeah, and you can be stuck it's as if you lose power to change yourself through your own kochot and your own will and your own practice and your own intention. It sort of it drains the energy from transformation. You again and again, you've got grass, you go back, you got grass, you go back, you got hashish and whatever, you go back to next day. You do something in there, and I've seen it again and again with people, including myself. So I used to smoke quite a bit. I didn't regard it a lot of psychedelics, but that's like until the age of 40, 45, whatever, I was smoking grass, and then I realized that. One day I realized it was stopping me changing. And I've seen it again and again with people that smoke a lot or taking psychedelics quite a lot. There is illusion in there that something is helping them, but actually it sticks them in the same place. So there's a risk there. So my advice is with psychedelics, keep it short. Stop. And then...
Or once in a while, like once in a year.
Or once in a while, or probably the best way would be to have the boost, that it's strong, and done in the right way as a ritual, and that's it, and done. And not to do it regularly once a year and so on, because I think that it needs to have power, and the transformative power is in the newness of it and the freshness of it, and coming from, and not a habit, and even once a year habit. I think it needs to be strong, transformative, and then you move on. You've done the transformation, and you move on from there, and not... keep going with it. So that's the other thing. And the third thing I want to say about a sort of another aspect is in a therapeutic context. I think it can be very useful. I am very impressed with the stories I've heard about people who have been in trauma, for example, and it's been radically helpful to them. And for this, I think the caution that I said at the beginning, that it needs to be fitting and needs to, you feel that you don't need to be so worried about it, because here you're talking about really you need intervention, and sometimes the intervention of a psychologist for 10 years is toxic, like a drug. You just end up having to have your psychology treatment once a week and sit in a chair and have dialogue, and you're stuck there.
I so agree.
And so this is moving something, and it's radical, but if you need, for a therapeutic reason, I think that breaks the caution. But even there, to be careful not that it doesn't turn into a habit, and to keep going all the time on and on and on and on and on. It should work fairly quickly, and then you move on. And it doesn't turn into something which you're basically become accustomed to it, you become used to it, it becomes just another thing. An attachment, and to be careful of it. Yeah. So its power is that it can do things very fast and powerfully and make a big transformation, and when you're in a real psychological crisis, you really need it. And those times, I think it can be necessary. Spiritually, it's not necessary, it's an option. Sometimes therapeutically it is necessary.
Yeah. So now when we're going to meet these therapists, I want to talk about it. I wanted to talk about two types of people that going to this experience. So one type is the people that really want to heal. They want it like a medicina.
Yeah.
And they want help. And the other type is the party
right.
people. But what do you think about lots of people that going now to use, like lots of people into it now? But why do you think?
Well, I think that people are, it just is a bit of a misplaced search. People are basically searching for happiness and freedom. It's deep inside the soul. We all have a little Buddha inside us that wants to be free. And but it all gets misplaced in the wrong directions. So partying and so on. And I think the therapeutic use is wise, providing it's done properly with people that really know what they're doing. the party side is not it's not bad, but it will tend to be, make you attached. Like you can't be full of happiness unless you have this.
Yeah, it's so...
and its happiness should be available for us just in existence, not because. But nevertheless, I'm also aware I was doing partying all my youth, and it's okay. It's not at the end of the world. It's fine to, just as long as you feel that you don't get too attached to it, and it's just something that you try out, like trying lots of other things. It's really okay. I don't have a big, but it shouldn't become a habit and a kind of dependence that I can't have fun without it, kind of. So, in a way, both are right, because the voices that come to you from a place which is not you, not the person.
Exactly.
It's not important whether you call them from the sky or from your deep unconscious or subconscious. I don't think that's interesting. You can call them from either place. The dreams at night in the past, the history, the Greeks, and even the Bible, like dreams of Paro, the 7 good cows and the eat meat, the 7 starving years and the 7. There were dreams that were seen as coming from the gods in the history, and now dreams are seen as coming from the unconscious, and I don't think it makes any difference. I think that's just a cultural model. So she's right and you're right. They come from the sky or come from the unconscious. I think it's the same. Mainly that they come out of the box of me, and then where they come from when they're out of the box of me is actually, it doesn't matter. It's just a thought. Sky or deep subconscious. It's just a thought. Doesn't matter. Okay. So main thing is to understand that they are not inside the box of me and the control of my life and what I think about things. They're coming from a place which is not self. There is a collective unconscious as well. So where you take ayahuasca in the jungles of Peru, you may well see jaguars and voices of trees, of Peruvian trees, because you're there with others that's their models of reality. So the models of reality is spreading between people. And so it feels like outside, but it's basically outside the control of a me, which says I know reality. But the me doesn't know reality. It only knows a small part, a slice. And the bigger things come in from outside or from deep down. So I think that that to me is a better model. And in a way, more interesting is you can regard it as a wisdom. In other words, it's not just because it's from the sky or from the unconscious, I can just ignore it. I think it does come with wisdom because it's where they have access to a truth which you don't usually access. It's like it's opened a gate out of the self into something bigger. It's a sort of channeling.
I had it also in the retreats now.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel in the last 2 retreats that I'm in another place. I don't know how to explain. Like, I feel that I understand the Dharma in a different level. It's new for me.
Yeah.
It's like this material and me, we really can meet each other differently in a new path. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that now I can be a student.
Yeah. Well, look, it's very similar to channeling. Okay, when you go and meet someone who's a channeler, a tikshur, they will say it's coming from Lamala. But I don't think it's that different from deep intuitions like your voice, don't eat meat, or my voices that turn up that say, this person is suffering in this way. Where's that voice coming from? I have no idea, but I know a certain immediate clarity about this person. I can see it from, for example, a hand gesture. Someone moving their hand, and I understand something about their inner life from that. Just because of awareness. It just doesn't always happen. It sometimes happens, and so on. I could somehow read the thought of somebody because I see their posture. It happens now and then. And I know that that's coming from a deep wisdom which is not really rational and is not controllable. And to me, that's the same as channeling. I just don't need to call it from the sky.
No, I understand.
You see what I mean?
אתה לא קורא לזה תקשור.
No.
כאילו,
The wisdom of the wisdom is the same.
Yeah. אתה לא קורא לזה תקשור.
Yeah.
And tell me something, Stephen, about integration.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to me to talk with you about it. Like, people coming to the clinic and they say, wow, I have amazing time, I took mushrooms, I took this, I took that. And then life is so boring after. And I want to help them to make the integration and not to rush and to run away to the other experience.
Yeah.
ופה אני קצת תקוע לפעמים.
So that's that, I
אתה
think.
מבין את המקום
Yes,
התקוע?
כן,
שכאילו
כן.
they
אני
so
מבין.
into it and then there is some of the people just coming and say it was disaster, it was so strong, I couldn't handle it, I was in חרדה and I will never use it. And the other ones just coming and say, okay, more and more, אבל יש attachment נורא חזק. איך אפשר לעזור?
So it's a little bit like people at the end of a retreat say, oh, you know, had such a wonderful retreat, now I have to go back to ordinary life. How do I do the integration to ordinary life? It's not that different, actually. It's rather similar. Creating a duality between a kind of a spiritual insight and an ordinary life, this duality. So I think one of the things I said already is important, which is see it as opening a door, but don't see it as the reason that what you need to keep opening the doors. Don't see it as an escape, but see it as a moment of insight that can give you a kind of a new view, hashkafa, you know, a new way of looking at reality. So if that's the first thing, to help people understand that it's a moment of insight that opens a door, now they have to go with that, not to keep running away from life by trying to open more doors and more doors and more doors, because then you're just opening doors all the time. You have to go through the door.
And how do you know if you open the door or you're going through?
Well, you just feel it, how it touches your life. It's like the same as, you know, a retreat experience and going back to ordinary life. Keep recommending, you know, in ordinary life, look with new eyes at things coming out of your experience. What is it that it helped? How does it help you to look with new eyes at the person you work with in your misrad, the bus driver in the bus, your body when you walk? Allow it to sort of feed into your life. Don't rush to the next experience, but allow it to kind of feed into your life, asking, what did I learn from it? Now and apply it in your life. Give it, but it will always be a little bit. If you expect the experience to be as strong, then of course it will not be. And the same with the meditation retreat. If you expect samadhi to be there in daily life, it cannot be. But other things can be. Instead of samadhi, you've got riyah chadasha, new eyes. So my sense is helping people to explore what it is that they actually saw, experience, what opened for them, what was the door like, and how this door opening can help them with their marriage, with their daily life, with the way they walk and eat and so on. You know, in your case, it certainly can help you. You will stop eating meat. You had a message, and it applied to daily life. So that's integration for you. You integrate, and the same with other people. The message might be, things are bigger than I thought before. Things are not so clear. Things are mysterious. or a bigger heart. I opened, something opened for me. I experienced much joy in this experience. It's made me high and joyful. Okay, you experience joy, meaning that you have a capacity for joy. Now, let's see that joy when you, in small doses, when you walk by the sea, when you go and meditate, because you know you have that capacity for joy. Integrating means knowing that it is you. It's not the substance. The substance is just substance. It's not that I saw LSD when I saw the tree. I saw the tree.
Yeah.
The LSD is the agent.
Yeah.
So the substance is an agent. But the real thing is the seeing. That's actually what's happened there. And the same with, for example, ecstasy. The real thing is what you feel, and it opened the possibility, it made you realize you are capable of that. It's in you already. Now let's see how you can manifest that in daily life in small doses, again and again. And try and make it natural. In other words, don't try and get 100% ecstasy, because you will not. 10% of what you felt there as you walk down the street. 10% as you hug your children. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just little see how it touches, but in small doses. And then also explore, if possible, other things that will bring the same result. Maybe not the same exactly. That's why I think meditation is really excellent after that.
Yeah.
After these experiences, go on a retreat in order to experience something, not the same, but something to go in through the door. Don't let the door shut, because then you've got to do another one in order to open the door again. Let the door be open a little bit, not shut. So keep your foot in the door, keep it open a bit. That's what I can suggest, and then do something for that, not just waiting for the next.
אוקיי. וגם חשוב לדעתך הכוונה לפני, נגיד אם עכשיו מישהו הולך.
לגמרי.
אז איך...
אז הכוונה של partying is not helpful.
No, of course not. But if somebody is going not for party, is going to heal something inside of him.
I think it's very good. It's very helpful. Although you can also be prepared to let it go. That when things happen, you need a beginner's mind, so that you can also drop your intention, because other things are happening which are not in your control, and just not to be careful that the intention doesn't become a control.
Yeah, it's very true. Also about retreats,
Yes.
Always when I'm coming to retreat, I have an idea, and then it's...
So it's not that the intention is bad. Its intention could be quite good and helpful, because it gives you a direction, and if nothing else is happening, you can go on that direction. But you also have to treat it very lightly.
Yeah. ואתה חושב שזה כן חשוב השילוב בין טיפול ונגיד טיפול, מדיסינה ודרמה לדעתי זה...
I think if you need them, I mean, the Dharma, you don't need tipul if you don't need it. I mean,
not everybody needs it.
If you need it, yes, it can work very well. But I think the Dharma is another path, so that sometimes the two can get confused. If all the time you feel you need strong experiences through the medicines, and then the Dharma personal practice can seem parva, because rather minimal.
Maybe not for me.
No, but for some people it can be. Well, the medicine is really strong, and the Dharma can. Well, I do a bit of medicine. Mindfulness is not strong, so that's a dependence.
Birds. You can answer if you need.
I'm not interested. But I have to go soon because I'm teaching.
No problem. No,
I'm doing
teaching now?
No, but I have to go.
You need some break. Time.
No, what's the time? Yeah, I've got soon I've got to have supper, and I'm teaching at 7. In an hour, I've got to go to Yasmin's house to teach. And I'm doing an evening on Dharma and Kalfi.
And Kalfi.
And the Bechirot.
כן.
Yeah,
נחמד.
I'm looking at it from a Dharma point of view.
נחמד.
Yeah, it's happening
similar a
tonight.
little bit for yesterday, no? What
Yes.
we just spoke
נכון,
about
נכון.
yesterday.
Exactly. So I took
So
some
as
of the themes.
לסיום.
I took some of the things from yesterday, but a little bit, and opening them, going there, you know.
So for the end, what do
Yeah.
you suggest for us as כמטפלים שבאים לעזור למטפלים אחרים לעשות integration? מה אתה חושב הכי חשוב?
Good question. I think firstly, it has to be clear that this is not necessary. The medicines are not necessary, but they can be helpful in the way I discussed if there is a certain rightness about it. That means the person really feels that's the message, that's the thing they want, that they heard about it, they really feel enthusiastic and they've got a good intention, and so the therapist can help that. But it doesn't, the therapist shouldn't necessarily say that that's the you know, Mashiach. So it has to, I think it has to feel, the person has to have a sort of a real ratzon or a message that that's right for them, and then the therapist can go along with that. In therapy you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about just the therapeutic context.
נכון.
Okay.
נכון. Also, how can I help other therapists to understand these structures?
Secondly, I think that the basis of a lot of love, care, heart from the therapist, respect for people's inner life and so on, I don't think you can go much further than, I mean, that is the basis. So a heartful, compassionate relationship to the client who wants to do this, understanding that they want to open that they need it, and that's their direction, and giving the best possible therapeutic, very individualized context and set in the setting, and then feedback afterwards, quite a lot of discussion about it afterwards, and then help in integrating in daily life in the ways I discussed before, and seeing that as a journey and a one-time journey. In other words, not to create dependence, that it's okay, and then you do another one because it's working. So be careful of more is better. That message, more is better. Instead of that, this one time, let it work because it's all the conditions are right, and then stop, reflect, and see where we are. I don't have much more than that at this point.
It's perfectly fine.
And I don't have much more that comes up for me spontaneously.
No, but it's really what I looked for, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So with all the things that I mentioned, you probably pick up quite a lot of stuff. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah, it's all there. Yeah. Great. Okay.